Hey, Calvary Chapel 14:6. Welcome to the 14:6 podcast here in our new podcast room that we've affectionately dubbed the Mandalorian room.
New digs.
That's right, because
Yep,
it's got
that's
the
right, that's
Mandalorian right up there. So if you're a Star Wars nerd alert,
It's a lot more spacious in here.
it is much more spacious
It is.
in here.
It has super cool sound things on the wall.
Yep. Makes our
it feel
voices
official.
sound more soundy or whatever.
Soundy.
I don't even know how you describe that, but yeah, it's a pretty cool room. It's kind of green, but it looks good, I think.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
I think the crew did a great job setting it up, so good job to the crew that set it all up.
Absolutely.
I got my old man glasses on because I need to read, and I just wanted to look like Pastor David.
That's right.
He's got cool.
You look pretty nice.
Do I look all right? I look okay. If you think my glasses look weird, please put it in the comments. If you want to see other colors, that'd be great. Pastor Dave's got his third pair coming, the
I do.
Octagon.
Hexagons.
Oh, hexagon.
I wish they were
Hexagon.
octagons. but they're
Octagons would be cool.
so
Hexagons are coming.
Hexagons.
So-
They're coming with the new prescription because I'm getting
You know,
older.
it's about time I get some new glasses because, they're getting kind of foggy. Maybe I should
I
go
think
for
you just have to
something,
clean them once.
I clean them every day. That's the problem.
They're getting
I only have
foggy.
one pair, so it's like,
He's got a little private cleaner. Get it all clean. So, anyways, over here to my right, all the way over here is Pastor Pat, senior pastor, lead pastor at Calvary Chapel 14:6. Pastor David, our executive pastor of Creative Arts and Worship, Connections pastor. Daniel Sanchez, and you all know me, Steve Long, resident foot washer. So we're having a great time. Today we wanted to talk about something I think that's like everybody is seeing but doesn't really know how to describe it, and because we're not that smart, we went to Chat GPT to help us actually define this because this is like got a lot of different parts to it, and then I thought we'd kind of dig in. So it's this word called relativism. Relativism. Now, if you went through...
it's not about your in-laws.
No, it's not. And whether it's undergrad or master's or doctoral, that's a pretty big word we talk about in that realm. But I think it's something that is impacting everybody, actually. Yeah. And we don't even know it's called relativism. So we kind of thought we'd go through and Chat GPT define it, and then we're going to settle on moral ethical because I think that's the one that we're all experiencing right now.
Right, yeah.
Before we do... thought we'd talk about this cool little new podcast room and give a couple updates. We got our missionaries from Thailand this weekend.
Yep.
That's coming.
Yep.
Next month, we're rolling out our vision series, our 3-part vision series in October.
Yep.
That's going to be awesome. We're moving forward with our building program, so that's pretty cool, too.
all exciting things.
Yep. And so for those that are out there in the YouTube podcast world, keep praying that God continues to provide because he's doing it supernaturally, miraculously, and we're so thankful for that. And we're excited. All right, let's dig in because this is like a deeper one, and this will be fun.
I have no idea where this is going to go.
Never do I.
None of us do.
We'll find out together.
But it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
All right, so relativism. So the two that I'm going to just quickly talk about, and then two Pastor Dave's going to talk about, two that Pastor Daniel's going to talk about, not in that order, but we'll go through this. So the two ones that I want to kind of bring to you, we're just going to get right into it. First one's called cultural relativism. Cultural relativism, and let's define that. It's the idea that norms, practices, moral codes, they're relative to a particular culture, should be understood in that culture. And actually, when you are studying, for example, the Bible, one of the things that you do talk about is not so much cultural relativism, but context of culture, which is similar but not the same. So you want to know what was going on in the culture at that time, how they would have understood it from their cultural lens at that time, not our 21st century lens. But cultural relativism is a little bit different. Cultural relativism says not only like what does that culture understand as the truth, but you have to understand it from their cultural perspective as truth. The problem with that, of course, is when you're looking at everybody's quote truth or relative truth, as we call it, it's all in the beholden of the culture. What if the culture's wrong? We're not going to answer that here, but like, what happens if the culture's wrong?
Okay, like in ancient Hinduism, they, guy dies and you burn his wife on the funeral pyre with him. That's perfectly fine because the culture says it's fine, right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
So we should allow that here in America now. Because
Yeah.
the Hindus come over here and, they want to practice Hinduism. We should allow that, yes?
No.
No.
Oh, I thought there was relative. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, so
Some might
that's
say
that's
yes.
where some of the things go
I'm
off the
taking the
rails.
sarcastic side of
Of
this.
course you are. Just for the record, our pastor is not saying that Hindu wives should be burned at the stake in
Here
America.
comes the emails.
I know. Here they come. So just, there's issues with each one of these, which is why we want to bring it up, because I think here in America, we're kind of in the slow cooker
Yes.
We don't see these issues coming up because we don't define it this way.
Right.
Right? This next one, we're going to get into this one. Moral or ethical relativism, which basically is defined this way, that the belief that moral judgments are not universally true. Maybe another way to say it, there's no absolute truth.
Right.
But it depends on the individual's perspective, the culture's perspective, or the changing environment.
That sounds a little bit like everything in their own eyes.
Well, I'm restraining myself.
Yeah, we're going to come to Pastor Pat because he's like chomping at the bit.
We got to
just
get to the
thinking the end of
definitions.
Judges.
we got to get through the definitions according to our culture right now
That's right.
before I can, bare my teeth.
So here's some examples to think about: views on capital punishment or abortion or gender's roles. They're going to vary. And really, moral or ethical relativism suggests there's no universal standard.
Right.
Right? It's to each in their
However
own
you
eyes.
feel.
Yeah, there's no absolute truth or absolute correctness.
Right.
So, of course, we're going to come back and tackle that one head on here in just a
Except
moment.
when you disagree with that.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we'll
my
get to that one too. Pastor Daniel, you got the next two, man.
I got the next two,
Yeah.
and the one we're starting with is the epistemological.
Yeah, that one.
That
Yeah,
one.
that one.
Epistemological.
Yeah,
I don't know why they have
Pat
to
say
make these
that.
so hard to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
The epistemological definition.
We'll call that the bathroom relativism.
So that one is the claim that knowledge itself is relative to cultural frameworks, paradigms, or personal standpoints. And the example we see here is the science may be considered one way of knowing, but another culture may privilege spiritual, intuitive, or traditional knowledge equally. And then also we have aesthetic relativism. And the definition that ChatGPT gave us is the idea that beauty, art, and taste are subjective and culturally defined. An example of that is
Totally true.
what is considered beautiful or artistic in one society may be seen as unremarkable in another,
Interesting.
like small feet.
Yeah. It's one society. It's like
Feet in general are gross.
that's hilarious. Pastor Dave, you got the next two, man.
I do. I have social or legal relativism.
Relativism.
And by the way, for the
Relativism.
record, Pastor David loves this because it reminds him of his undergrad degree that
Yeah,
he's going
it's so much fun. So I actually just read about a bunch of this stuff, but I don't retain it very well. All right. The belief that laws, rights, and justice are constructed within societies and reflect cultural or political values rather than universal truths.
Interesting. We have to come back to that one, too.
Yeah, we'll have to. Their examples they gave, freedom of speech is broadly protected in the U.S., but more restricted in other countries. Relativism suggests each system has its own validity.
How
on that.
dare
So,
you?
I'm sorry.
There's only Americanism.
You blame ChatGPT.
I did.
How dare they?
ChatGPT came up with this.
That's right. All right. Then we have
Restraining.
personal or subjective relativism. The definition, the belief that truth and morality are relative to the individual, which that's similar to the moral one we just kind of talked about, right?
Right.
And their examples that they give, someone may say, what's true for you isn't true for me. I hate that statement.
My truth.
Yeah, my truth. Yeah,
hate that statement.
You speak your truth to power.
No, you
those-
can have your opinion, but it ain't. There's only one truth.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I feel like we've like leashed the bulldog and we're putting the prime rib right in front of him, and he's
That's
like,
right.
"Pick me, pick me." He's
over here salivating.
Put
me in, coach, put me in.
Put me in. So question number one, Pastor Pat, because I know you're dying over here, man.
it's
As
killing
an
me.
apologist, you're like, I could slay all 6 of them right now. But how do you think the U.S. is tracking in this, I call it relativism river that we find ourselves in, Pastor Pat?
I think that you can trace back the decline of all Western civilization, particularly here in America, right back to this concept.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
I think we're doing very poorly in America. I think this recent wave of wokeism that we recently saw. Now, these things tend to go in waves, so you had the wave of wokeism, now you've got conservatism coming back.
So define those
But-
terms, because people are going to hear that and all they're going to hear is politics.
Right.
So define what wokeism is, not in a political narrative, but from a truth narrative, and conservatism from a truth narrative.
Well, wokeism, if you really want to boil it down, in my view, is going to come back to the idea that individual preference has a higher value than universal concepts or universal truth. And and of course that's going to create a world of conflict. It creates chaos because everybody has their own thing, and everybody
Total
can,
confusion,
it really does lead to that. So and wokeism also leads to the idea that inevitably, in order to create this society that is fully woke, you have to control it. Because you're going to get the people that say, no, I disagree with that.
Right.
And we can't have that.
Right.
You know what I
Someone's
mean?
feelings might get hurt.
Somebody's feelings might. So we have to control that. We have to, and that's where this concept of government control comes from. In other words, you get one law after another to protect this minority, and eventually, since all of those laws eventually intersect and contradict, you end up with lawlessness. It's weird. You have more laws than ever before,
Right.
but it's really, in practice, lawlessness. And that's wokeism. Conservatism, that word, tends to be,
least you did it too.
a run back towards the solidity of universal values, the concept that there's individual human worth, that sort of thing, that it's not government that is going to, now this is where the politics side of it comes in. It's not government that grants those rights. Those rights are endemic to us as human beings. It raises human dignity. And so those are the, so you end up getting a wave, goes back and forth. And you can see it in the rise and fall of civilizations.
Right.
You can trace this over and over and over again. You can see it in the fall of the Egyptian civilization. You can see it in the fall of the Roman civilization, the fall of the Greeks. The list goes on, and I believe personally that we are seeing the fall of Western civilization right now. It is crumbling all around us.
Yeah.
So that's the answer to the first question.
So how do we as Christians, because this is a big question out there, how do we as Christians continue to reach into relativistic communities? That'd be a good way to say that.
Sure.
Showing the love of Jesus Christ, of course, but at the same time saying, yeah, but I don't want to play your I can be whatever I want to be game.
Yeah.
And
that is part of the tricky process.
Yeah.
First of all, Yeshua, and that's how you say Jesus, by the way, just, don't panic. I just have the habit of doing that. Yeshua specifically said, the truth will set you free. So the one thing that we as believers can do is continually, consistently stand on the truth.
Right.
Now, truth is by its very nature confrontational. For example, all of these, the computer, because it's parroting the input that is put into it. You ask it about relativism, it's going to give you a pro-relativistic viewpoint. This is the good, because that's what's
pumped
trending into it.
and
That's what's
been pushed.
trending.
Yeah.
But take off the words cultural, moral, epistemological, aesthetic, and so on. Just look at that word relativism. You can boil that down to either there is such a thing as truth, which transcends your preference, your opinion, your culture. For example, just real quick, cultural relativism says that every culture is equally valid. So we should allow, child marriages because other cultures do. See, and we have to answer these questions today because here in the West, here in America in particular, you have people coming from countries that practice these things. How can we say with a straight face that we believe that all cultures are equally valid and yet not allowed child marriage here in the United States. They've been practicing it for thousands of years, longer than the United States has been a country. And this is some of the hardcore relativists will make these kinds of arguments. We should not stop, child marriages because those things are culturally acceptable over there. We have the same problem with marriage. I mean, you have people here in the United States have pushed real hard that now 2 men can get married, 2 women can get married. Well, then why can't a man marry 5 women? Why not?
That'll be the next relativistic
you
question that we're going to have to talk about.
You cannot say no. Once you open this, using the Greek term, it's Pandora's box. You open this up. So you can boil all of these things down to that word relativism. So relativism, when you take it down to the bottom, is there is no such thing as truth.
Anything goes.
Right. But my first response to that is, oh, well, is that statement true or not? Now, that just defeats it immediately. Because if you say, well, the statement, there is no such thing as truth, is true, you've just contradicted yourself. There is such a thing as truth, and that is the statement, there is no such thing as truth. If you say, no, no such thing as truth, that's not true or false. Well, then you've said exactly nothing. There's no meaning to it.
Right.
So relativism self-defeats before we ever even get into what kind, cultural, moralistic, epistemological, aesthetic. No, it fails just by that simple understanding that there is such a thing as truth. Now, what is that? And again, we could go through the different kinds of definitions of it, but at the end of the day, truth is that thing which matches what is real. It's saying it like it is.
Right.
That's what truth is. And no matter how hard you try, it'll always come back to that. And so this is the problem that we have, is that we have different cultures, different preferences, and people mistake preference for truth.
That's good.
They mistake preference for truth. So if I say, and I do say, that caramel ice cream is gross, we all know this, right? Now, my wife immediately disagrees.
That caramel
I
ice cream
disagree.
is gross?
Yeah, it's gross.
It's amazing.
It's terrible stuff. It's gross.
And you call it caramel.
It's caramel, caramel, whatever.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
pretty
throw
sure
you.
that's your guys' relative.
No, but this is a preference.
Yeah.
I do not prefer that, but that's not an issue of truth. It's an issue of preference.
Right.
Now, what is true is that nutrition is powerful and important to the human body. Now, that matches the facts.
Of which
Whether-
ice cream is one of the 5 food groups.
Amen.
Okay,
Dairy.
You gotta have dairy.
Got to have dairy. It's a
Okay,
building block.
okay, you write your dissertation on that. So I don't know. I mean,
Well, is there-
immediately that's why I chomped at the bit on every one of those definitions. I wanted to go har har har.
Well,
You know what I mean?
here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there any legitimate form of relativism?
Only in terms of preference. Yes, preference is relative to the individual. I prefer Rocky Road over
Right.
that other stuff.
Sherry would be in
But then
agreement
is
with you.
there
She
an
likes Rocky
absolute
Road, too.
truth in terms
that one's
of
good, too.
flavors of ice cream?
Yeah.
It
You
is
know what I mean?
absolute.
That's
Cherry's
the question.
Jubilee. Cherry's Jubilee is the best in the world. Absolute truth.
Here's good. That's a good question. It is absolutely true, forever and at all times, that right now I prefer Rocky Road ice cream.
Okay.
That is always going to be true, and it's always true of me. Okay, so
there's
there's
the
the,
truth.
absolute truth in
Okay.
it.
All right. I can get
But
that.
it's still preference.
Sure.
There are some people they don't like Rocky Road because they're going to eat one bite of those nuts and go to the hospital. You know what I mean? So they don't prefer it, and that is absolutely true for that person. For example, if I say I am cold right now, which I am because I'm right under there. Okay, but anyway, if I am cold, it is always true forever that at this moment in this place, Patrick Marks was feeling cold. So now you might be feeling hot, but that's not a contradiction. Because some people would say, see, there's the contradiction. One person says it's cold, one person says it's hot. That's relativism right there. It's neither hot nor cold. No, no, no. It's cold for me. That's true. And it's hot for you. That's true. Okay? Now, what's absolutely true is if we took a temperature gauge and went, it's 68 degrees in this room. That's absolutely true. Whether you like that and call it hot,
Right.
or I like it and call it cold, it's irrelevant. What's relevant, those are the differences between what is preference and what is truth. I don't know if that makes sense, but
So it's kind of like we have reality and then there's perceived reality, right?
exactly.
So our reality is basically how we perceive things. So for someone who grew up in part of a culture where their truth is their reality, how can they break out of that to then really see that reality for what it is, specifically compared to the truth that we see in Scripture?
Well, again, I would say the truth will set you free. Give you a good example. The basic Buddhism will tell you that the answer to all of our problems is to divorce oneself from desire. And they believe this. Now, I think that that's false. So how do I interact with the person and how do I challenge it? Well, I'm going to bring up the truth. They say, well, the answer to all of our problems and what we are seeking is to divorce ourselves from desire. And I say, so you want to not want. How does that work?
That's a desire.
Because that's a desire. And it short circuits. Now, truth tends to do that. It's confrontational. Truth, by its nature, it's not trying to be mean. If I tell you that this many and this many is this many, you can see it demonstrated. 2, 2, 4.
No, that was 22.
Good point.
No, some people would say that though.
I know they would.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to show that the statement you are making matches reality. There's this many and there's this many, and when I stick them together, there's this many. Okay, and because somebody else could say, "Oh, it's a 100 and
1,111.
you know what I mean? No, but there's actually only 4 digits sticking up here. So that's what's reality. So when you show reality, it tends to. That's what can break people out of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I've seen plenty of testimonies of people who, well, I grew up this way, but when I got confronted with truth, it rattled me. I went, oh, wait a minute, what I've been believing is wrong. Now, there's an emotional component to this, and there's a spiritual component to it. We have to keep in mind that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking with somebody that's steeped in relativism, we have to recognize that the most loving thing you can do is to tell the truth. But you also speak the truth in love. You don't want to be obnoxious about it. I mean, in certain contexts, we make fun. I mean, like the Babylon Bee makes fun of those types of things.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, and in certain certain places, that's appropriate. But when I'm talking with an individual person, I want to, not be mean in my delivery. Now, you have to keep in mind that it's still confrontational. I can be as nice as pie when I'm trying to deliver it, but that person still is going to be confronted by that truth. It's not wrong, biblically speaking, to confront something that's false.
Right. Yeah. And I think the key there you mentioned is love.
Yeah.
Because it's that love that really opens up people's hearts to receive the information. I recently heard a testimony, actually yesterday. My wife shared a testimony. Some guy, his name's Preston Perry. He's a poet. He's in apologetics. He said he was taking an Uber, and his Uber driver was a Hindu gentleman, and he felt led to share the gospel with him. And he said at that moment, he felt the Spirit in the car, and the driver received Jesus. He said he's never felt love like that before. And coincidentally, after doing that, another car hit him.
Really?
But he said he's like a car hit him right after
That's
receiving
spiritual.
Jesus in the car, but he didn't care. He was so enveloped by this love that he felt that didn't even faze him.
That's
We
crazy.
got to keep in mind, remember, in our culture, love can get misunderstood too.
Absolutely.
Because people say it's not loving to confront somebody.
Right.
How in the world can you? Well, it's because they're equating love with feelings.
Right.
Okay, love is not always a feeling. It
Correct.
can be, but again, if I know Steve, I'm talking to Steve, and I know I'm a doctor, and I know he has cancer, but I don't want to say, Steve, you have cancer, because it might hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Now, is that the right thing for me to do ethically? No. The right thing for me to do ethically, the most loving thing would be to say, I'm sorry, sir, I have to give you the bad news. You have this cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can do whatever treatments or if it's really bad, get your affairs in order or whatever. But to not say anything is actually the most unloving thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to be careful that, yes, we speak the truth in love, but love does not mean you refuse to tell somebody truth because it might hurt their feelings. Now, here's, in my view, to use epithets, insults, be demeaning, come across like that, well, that would be wrong. That would be biblically unethical.
Right.
But again, some people will perceive it no matter what you do. You can look them right in the eye and tell them, hey, you're bleeding from the ears. And no matter what you say, they're going to take offense at it, and they're still bleeding from the ears. There are some times that no matter how nice you are, they've chosen that they're not going to receive it. And that's why I said there's a spiritual component as well as an emotional one. There's both of these.
Well, what's interesting to me is like the educational system is an entire confrontational system. What I'm saying is when they're, quote, teaching truths in the educational system, they are challenging your perceived beliefs.
They are.
So in mathematics, it's not, well, we think it's this. No, it's logical. It's 2 + 2 is 4. It's not 22, or as you hold up your four fingers, 1,111. It's not that. It's this is what it is logically.
Right.
This is the conclusion. And, we come to the education system and we're supposed to be receiving absolute truth, right? But so much relativism has slipped into the educational system now.
Yes.
That we're not even identifying it as pseudo-truth. We're not even identifying it as we're in fact claiming something that is untrue as if it was truth. And that's a problem, I think, for a society.
It is. Absolutely.
And I'm not saying everybody needs to homeschool their children and all that stuff. Like, no, I know there's a group out there of Christians that believe everybody should homeschool their kids. Fine. If you did that route, I have no problems. We kept our kids in public school for a reason. You cannot run from a difficult situation is what we taught our kids. And I'm not saying homeschool parents do that. That's not what I'm saying. It's just for them, they made the decision that homeschool was best for them. But for us, it's like we wanted them to grow up in that environment and then discuss at home what was truth and what wasn't truth based on what was being taught through a standard. And there had to be a standard, right? And there's only one standard. There's only one that has stood the test of time, has stood the historicity, the contextual criticism, the archaeological digs, etc., and that is the Bible. Now, people can argue whether God's real, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and those are all emotional arguments, but no other work of antiquity has as much support as the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, New Testament in its current form. That's right.
Absolutely true.
So if that's the case, and this is where laws come from, Judeo-Christian laws, which we did not make up in America.
No.
Rome did. But then when Rome started violating those things and incorporating a bunch of different faiths and a bunch of different belief systems into their society and, of course, overextending themselves out there, they got into trouble, which sounds a lot like what's happening in the United States.
Yes, absolutely true.
Overextending ourselves into other populations, other cultures, other countries, into what they're doing, not doing, and then trying to kind of open the doors to everything because it's under, well, we're a nation of immigrants, and that doesn't mean just because we're a nation of immigrants, anything goes.
Right.
Like we're built on a Judeo-Christian foundation, always have been, always will.
Well, the reason we accept immigrants in the first place is because of Judeo-Christian
That's
thought.
right. The Bible says to.
So
Treat them as if you would your own.
Right.
So it's just kind of fascinating to me. We get back. It comes the circular argument. What is truth? who gets to define truth? I mean, somebody out there who believes in relativism is probably hearing what I'm just saying right now.
Right.
Probably our troll that we love dearly, who's going, yeah, but that's your truth. That's not my truth.
Yeah, but is that
You
true
know.
or not?
Yeah. Well, that's
Right?
the
And
question.
It just begins. It's a circular argument that fails every time.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is such a thing as truth.
Yep. And it's knowable.
Yeah.
It is knowable.
It is
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. So we start there, right? We start with what is the foundation of truth? And I think historically speaking, the Bible is the historical. I mean, our framers started an entire law and, an entire culture based on that,
Yeah.
which is pretty fascinating.
Well, I mean, this can open up. I mean, this discussion right here, there is absolutely no way in 40 minutes you can
No.
cover this.
No.
I mean, the foundation of Western society, the foundation of America, why Judeo-Christian thought is superior, things of that, all of those things are just, they're one topic after another. We could be here for a while. But I think for the sake of just getting started, if you will, we come back to, truth is that thing which matches what is real, what is actual. It's, A is equal to A. It's the law of identity. And we need to recognize that those are, logic. I've heard this argument too. Well, you're thinking about it in terms of Western logical thought, and the Easterners think differently. And I'm going, and they think wrong too, because logic is not something we made up. Logic is something that was discovered because it's true.
Yeah.
And again, we could run round and round and round on it.
Yeah.
But
So let's wrap it up this way. Little teaser for next time.
yeah.
What are some things in society right now you think that is, I call it on the very edge of this relativism?
Very edge.
Yeah. That it's being pushed everywhere.
Oh, don't all speak at once.
Well, I mean, mine aren't really on the edge. Mine are like deep seeped in, transgenderism, obviously.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, but that's kind of like recent, though.
true.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, that's recent, right?
yeah.
For the most part, yeah. The whole preferred pronouns thing,
Yeah.
And babies,
know.
whether
whether a
baby in the
child
womb
is a
is-
Yeah.
child
Are
or
they a
not.
baby or a fetus?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people try use that one real quick. What gives that human value?
Yeah.
If you say, well, they don't have any value until they're born, it's completely arbitrary.
Right.
Well, and it
You know.
doesn't make sense if you think
If
of
that's the case, then you better remove all the laws that if somebody passes away, like let's say manslaughter because somebody was drunk driving, then no one should be held accountable for that. Fetus is lost, to use their terms. I don't believe in fetuses. I believe
Neither do I.
babies.
hate that word.
Yeah, that's just another way of, hey, let's reterm this
Without any-
so it doesn't
right.
sound human.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To remove
Yeah.
the conviction.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because truth is that thing which matches what is real.
Yeah.
The embryo within a human female
Yeah.
that has been fertilized, that egg that's been fertilized, what is it?
It's
Yeah.
life.
It is alive and it is human.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the facts,
Right. Exactly.
scientifically speaking. What society is doing is trying to decide, I don't say trying to decide, their argument on the pro-choice side is that human being doesn't have value for one reason or another.
Well, they're recasting it, using language to
Reframing it, yeah.
recast it and reframe it from truth.
Exactly.
Right.
They will actually say if a woman is pregnant and she wants the baby, then it's a baby. But if she doesn't, then it's not a baby.
It's just a it
that's why-
or
yeah.
something.
So it's basically depends on your desire,
Right.
whether it's
And that's
life or not.
again, that's purely arbitrary.
Totally.
By that arbitrary notion, you can decide that anybody is not human now.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And plenty
Just
of
wait till the
societies have played
robots
that
come out.
game.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's probably a ton more that we can go, and we're missing time. I think we're at
Yep.
we're at 35
It's
minutes
time.
already.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more. I think this is just scratching the surface. We should come
Definitely.
back to this one.
should.
'cause
should.
I
I
feel like
think
this is
it'd
going
be
to be a hot topic.
We're all going to go home and
That's
do some
what-
more research now.
yeah. We'll all come back. We got notes.
I'm not
Episode
looking at
20.
Chat GPT. I'm looking at. I can just see it now. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it on this communication and talk really on relativism. We're not going to solve all the relative problems that are out there.
It's relative.
Relatively speaking.
It's relatively speaking. But we're having a good time, and we just appreciate you joining us. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification. That really helps get the message out. And you know what? Maybe put a comment down below of something in this area you want us to address, and maybe we can come back to this on a part 2, and we can kind of say, hey, here's 2 or 3 things folks want to know about. So thank you again. God bless you guys. Have a great week.
See ya.
See ya.